Yes, students, Assalamu alaikum. In this offline demonstration video, I am going to cover the histological aspects of endocrine glands. We will start with the basic introduction. Endocrine glands are actually the glands which are ductless. They don't have their excretory ducts. They use blood as medium to transport their secretions, which are called hormones. And then these hormones will only act on those cells which have their proper receptors on the surface for the particular hormones. So not on the surface only, but the cell must have receptors for that particular hormone so that the hormone can act or can initiate the reaction in those particular cells. We'll start with the master gland, pituitary gland. Why it is termed as master gland? Because the secretions which are coming from the parts of pituitary, they are acting on other endocrine glands and influence their function or release of their hormones. We are not going to discuss the detail of those hormones or the cells named properly for their secretion. We will just discuss the identification points for pituitary glands. In theory, if you have gone through this particular topic, then the teacher must have discussed about the subclassifications of cells with respect to their secretion hormones. But we are just going to discuss it from a practical point of view. We can identify different parts of pituitary. The pituitary gland is divided into major parts. The adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary and the neurohypophysis, which is termed as posterior pituitary. The pituitary gland is present in a bony depression in sphenoid bone below hypothalamus. When we talk about its stromal component, the connective tissue is forming the sportive content. That's why it is termed as stroma. The connective tissue capsule of the pituitary gland is very thin, made up of loose connective tissue. And if we talk about the internal component of the pituitary gland, there are very scarce amount of connective tissue inside the pituitary gland. And now we will talk about the main parenchymatous part, the cells which are involved in the production of hormones. We have just said that we have divided the pituitary gland in two parts. The part which is directly a continuation or connected with the brain hypothalamus is termed as neurohypophysis, and the part which actually moved from the oral cavity of a developing embryo and then start residing in the bony depression. It doesn't have any direct connection or continuation with the brain, that is termed as anterior pituitary or adenohypophysis. The neurohypophysis is further divided in the proper pars nervosa and then the connecting part, which is termed as the infundibulum or infundibular stalk, pituitary stalk. And then on the interior pituitary, the adenohypophysis is divided in the major area, pars distalis, and then the intermediate area between pars nervosa and pars distalis, pars intermedia, and then the extended portion of the interior pituitary, which is traveling along the pituitary stalk or infundibular stalk, is a very thin portion, not directly connected with brain, but surrounding the connection. It is termed as pars tubularis. We'll start with the neurophysis. The neurophysis is an extension of the brain tissue. So there are secretory neurons present in the nuclei above pituitary gland inside the hypothalamus. So the neurons, axons, non-myelinated axons continue through infundibular stalk, and then they are ending at the pars nervosa of the posterior pituitary. So the posterior pituitary or pars nervosa is just a bundle of non-myelinated axons with some supportive cells which are termed as pituitary, and the nerve fibers have extended or dilated endpoints which will be termed or which are acting as a temporary storage house for the hormones which are released here, not produced here but released here. Neurohypophysis की बात करूँ, those dilated endpoints of the fibers are termed as hearing bodies. हमने फाइबर्स को आइडेंटिफाई करना होगा, hearing bodies को देखना होगा, pituitaries को स्लाइड के अंदर neurohypophysis में. Adenohypophysis is further divided in three components. The biggest of the three and the most interior one is pars distalis. It is about 75% of the total adenohypophysis. The cells which are responsible for the secretions of hormones are arranged in irregular clumps or cords between the network of capillaries, and which we will identify in coming slides. The glandular cells are broadly categorized in two different categories: chromophobes. Phobia is basically a term which indicates the hatred. So cells which are not getting the proper staining or lightly stained or poorly stained, and the cells which are chromophils. Philia indicates the affinity or affection. The cells which routinely get colored, they are termed as chromophils. And chromophils cell population, the cells are further divided in eosinophils or basophils and H&E staining. The eosinophils will appear bright red or pink. The basophils will appear purple or bluish on histological slides. So these are three kinds of cells which we have to identify in the pars distalis portion: the chromophobes and the chromophils, further eosinophils and basophil population. If we talk about the histological features, eosinophils are rounded cells, typically smaller than basophils, and they account about 65% of the total cell population in adenohypophysis. Basophils are comparatively larger than the eosinophils, but they are less in number. Chromophobes are unstained or weakly stained cells, as the name indicates. Chrome color phobe is basically the cells which are not getting easily stained are termed as chromophobes. They are actually now considered as the eosinophils or basophil cells which are in dormant state, which is not producing any secretions, or the cells which have just recently released the granules of the secretion. Now they are degranulated state cells. Now this is these three are the magnified portions. The first of the two are representing two different stains of the interior pituitary pars distalis, and the third one is of pars nervosa magnified part. Now, in this particular magnification, the stain is periodic associate with orange stain. In this particular stain, the basophilic cells are appearing purple with a prominent nucleus, and between them there are the orange color cells which are eosinophils. And around these cells there are a third type of population of cells which are not getting a very distinct stain. Cytoplasmic content is not getting stain, only the nuclear part of the cell is getting the basophilic proper stain, but the cytoplasmic content around nucleus is not getting any proper stain. These are termed as chromophores. H&E stain slides जहाँ पे हम basically purple or pinkish देखना है. Just look at these bright red or pink color cells. They are eosinophils, and then these purple color cells, cytoplasmic content are basophils, and in between them these cells where only the nuclear content is getting color, but the cytoplasmic content of the cell is not getting any proper staining, is poorly stained. The third type of cell which is present interior pituitary chromophobes. And talk about the pars nervosa. Pars nervosa, there are axons, these pinkish threads, these are axons. Between axons, these nuclei are representing the sportive cells, pituitary, and now these dilated ends, fluid or secretion-filled areas or dilations of the axon endpoints will be termed as hearing bodies. इसको हम आगे भी देखेंगे. Now, if we talk about the remaining two portions of the anterior pituitary, which is pars tubularis and pars intermedia, both of these areas are majorly occupied by basophilic cells, but the pars intermedia have a very characteristic feature that these basophilic cells are arranged in follicles, or those follicles or rounded arrangements will be termed as cystic cavities. Now, this is a panoramic view of the whole pituitary gland. This is hypothalamus, and then from hypothalamus there is a direct connection with the pars nervosa, which is infundibular stalk, and then this area, lightly stained area. One of the basic characteristics between the anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary, or neurohypophysis and adenohypophysis, is that neurohypophysis, because of its non-myelinated axon, will give, or neural tissue will give lighter staining compared to the posterior pituitary. So the slightly stained area embedded or covered by the connective tissue capsule of the pituitary gland is pars nervosa, the part of neurohypophysis, and on the other side this is pars distalis, and in between pars distalis and pars nervosa there will be the pars intermedia, and then the small portion of the anterior pituitary which is going to surround this stalk is actually pars tubularis, which is not that much clear in this micrograph. Now this is again a different stained low magnified image. This is basically a trichrome stain in which the larger area is the anterior pituitary, and on the back side the lightly stained area is the posterior pituitary or pars nervosa neurohypophysis. Now just look at this low magnified image, panoramic view. You can still easily distinguish between two cell populations, the basophilic cells, which are appearing more bluish, and then these reddish cells, which are the eosinophils. Likewise, I have just added three magnified part of those three type of cells which are present in the neurophysis. Now just look at the three arrows which are representing a cell, individual cell. So this arrow is pointing as a cell where the cytoplasmic content is giving a red color on stain by stain. So these are eosinophils. On the other side, these darkly bluish or purplish, here it is more bluish color cells are representing basophils, and in between them there are certain cells where the nucleus is stained but the cytoplasmic content is getting a very light staining, like all these cells where the pointer is present. These are the chromophores. So now we have in anterior pituitary three different kind of cells: eosinophils, basophils, which collectively termed as chromophils, and then the third type of cell, which is a degranulated cell or just a dormant eosinophil or basophil getting very poor color staining, are the chromophores. Sorry. Now this is a more magnified part taken from the pars nervosa of the neurohypophysis. Now just look at the pointer area. This is the border area between this pars nervosa and pars distalis of the anterior pituitary, which is more magnified here, and the border area here between the pars distalis and pars nervosa is appearing more basophilic. This particular area is representing the pars intermedia. इसको हम आगे जाकर magnified slide के अंदर देखेंगे. Now this lightly stained area with the capillaries in it is the pars nervosa, and within the pars nervosa this streak is actually an artifact जो slide बनाने के दौरान बना. This is not a particular histological feature. This is an abnormality probably created during the irregular movement of the blade during cutting through microtome. So this streak like appearance is not a histological feature of pars nervosa, but it is an abnormality. Other than that, the surrounding area are perfectly representing the histological characteristics of pars nervosa. And if you magnified a particular area from this pars nervosa, it is no more magnified here. Here we have thread-like axons, non-myelinated axons, along with the nuclei of these are the nuclei of the pituitary, and in between them there are the capillaries, and along with axons and pituitary there are fluid-filled dilated ends of the axons appearing like dilated fluid-filled portion. These are the hearing bodies as pointed by the arrow in this particular micrograph. Now this is a more magnified part taken from this particular area we are now observing at this low magnified image, the basophilia, the pars intermedia. If we magnify this particular area, so you will see that these are more basophilic cells, and they are arranged in rounded follicular arrangement, and the central area of the follicular arrangement is appearing a cavity which is filled with the secretions. This is what we were talking about the pars intermedia, that they are mostly basophilic cells around a cystic cavity. This is what we were talking about the cavity point as indicated by the pointer at. This particular area between the pars distalis and pars nervosa will be termed as pars intermedia. The histological features, it is comprising of basophilic cells, and those basophilic cells are arranged in follicular arrangement. Follicular arrangement just like the thyroid gland जिसको अभी हम देखेंगे तो उसमें भी follicles बनते हैं, and the central cavity of the follicular basophilic cells is covered with the secretions. तो cystic cavity भी इसको हम कह सकते हैं. Now moving onward, now this is again a more panoramic view of the pituitary gland indicating the capsule. Within capsule we have no distinct stand areas. The slightly stand area is representing the pars nervosa or neuroepiphysis, and this is now representing the anterior pituitary or uh, adenohypophysis. Now the border area is indicated by the white pointer, and here we can, as this magnification still can see the basophilic area having certain cavities there. This is the pars intermedia portion around the border area between the pars distalis of the anterior pituitary and pars nervosa of the posterior pituitary. This area where the cursor is now moving, you can easily distinguish three fluid-filled cavities, basophilic cells. On this low magnified image, you can still easily distinguish between the eosinophils and the more purple stained basophils. Now this is a more magnified part from that particular area, and then this medium magnified part taken from the anterior pituitary pars distalis around this rounded square. You can easily see that there are three distinct cell populations: the eosinophilic stain eosinophils or pinkish stain, and then the more purplish stain basophils, and in between them there are certain cells where the nucleus is stained but the cytoplasmic content is poorly stained, so these are the chromophobes in between them. Now we have more magnified part. The eosinophils are now magnified here in this particular magnified portion of the micrograph. So this is representing eosinophils, and in between them these orange colors or red color areas are actually the capillaries filled with RBCs. These are the capillaries present between the cells where these cells are releasing their hormones. So you can easily distinguish at this medium magnified image how much capillary content is present between these cells. So they are highly vascular. Pituitary gland, the endocrine glands are highly vascular, and this vascularity is being indicated or being uh, visible by the presence of lots of capillaries cross section in microvalve. And on the lower map part, magnified part, this is more a cluster of basophilic cells. Yeah, we can easily distinguish an eosinophil also, but the major area in this more magnified portion taken from this area is representing the basophilic cell population of the interior pituitary pars distalis. Now this is again a more magnified part taken from this particular area where the border area between neuroepiphysis and pars distalis is present. So this area is pars nervosa. This is pars distalis, and in between them these basophilic cell populations which are present in follicular arrangement is representing the pars intermedia portion. Now moving towards the next, the endocrine gland, thyroid gland. If we talk about its features, so it is a bilobed endocrine gland. There are two lobes connected through a thin connection stalk. The thyroid glands are unique that they can store their hormones bound to a protein within a cavity, extracellular space cavity within the follicles. So those secretions which are present in the extracellular pool of protein along attached with the proteins in the cavity of the follicular arrangement is termed as colloid. So colloid is fluid which is present inside the follicular cavity in thyroid gland in this particular lecture. Now we talk about the thyroid gland. The stromal content is actually made up of capsule which is covering the thyroid gland from outside, and then the branches of capsule penetrate inside, which is termed as trabeculae. They are made up of connective tissue. The capsule is more dense compared to the trabecular content. Then the pericarditis part. There are two different kinds of cells, follicular cells and parafollicular cells. Follicular cells are actually lining the spherical follicles, which are termed as thyroid follicles. They are cuboidal to simple cuboidal to simple columnar. Actually, in last semester when you were identifying the simple cuboidal epithelium, most of the time you were looking at thyroid gland follicular cells. Those appear either simple columnar or simple cuboidal depending upon their activity level. If they are more active, they will appear more columnar. The less active cells or non-active cells of the follicle will appear as simple cuboidal cells. And in between follicles, there is a second type of cell population which is pale staining, larger cells compared to the follicular cells, but they are pale staining. Those cells are termed as parafollicular. Para mean around. Those cells are around follicular cells. These cells are actually large and have a pale stain compared to the follicular cells. Now, if you look at the more panoramic view, you can easily distinguish that this is the capsule portion, and that capsule is penetrating inside the main gland in the form of the trabeculae, dividing the main thyroid gland into smaller compartments, lobules. Now, if you look at the lobule, you can easily distinguish that there are certain cross sections where the central portion is appearing as a cavity, and that cavity is no stain. So this is what we were talking about, the follicular arrangement and the colloid which is present in the cavity of the follicles. So this is, and in between these follicles there will be the second type of cell population which is not that much clear in this magnification. So if we increase the magnification, now here you can easily distinguish a branch of the capsule penetrating inside. The trabeculae, along with the trabeculae, there are a lot of blood vessels which are penetrating inside the thyroid gland, as indicated by the higher presence of the capillaries around these follicles. And now this is an individual follicle, which is now here lined by more simple cuboidal epithelium, and the lumen of this follicle, the cavity is appearing stained eosinophilic because of the higher protein content, and then the protein with proteins there are the hormones which are attached. The T3 and T4 hormones are attached with the secretion which is present inside the follicle. And in between follicles, there is the second type of cell population which is comparatively larger but lightly stained. So these clusters of cells are termed as parafollicular cells. They are always present between the follicles, around follicles, so that's why they are termed as parafollicular cells. Now here we have no more magnified portion. Here we have an individual follicle lined by more simple cuboidal epithelium, and the central portion, which is the stored, temporarily stored secretion or monosecretion attached with protein appearing eosinophilic, is termed as colloid. And between two adjacent follicles, there are the cells which are have comparatively light staining compared to these follicular cells, but larger size rather than clusters. Groups, those cells are termed as parafollicular cells. Similarly, here the arrow is pointing at a polyparafollicular cell. Now here we have a follicle lined by simple cuboidal epithelium. The lumen is now fluid filled, which is colloid, and between the adjacent follicle, the cells between them, which are larger than size but lightly stained, these are parafollicular cells, as in this micrograph indicated by black arrow. The next gland, which is anatomically embedded at the four corners of the thyroid gland, is the parathyroid gland. The stromal content is again the layer of connective tissue, and then the branches of connective tissue which penetrate inside the parathyroid gland are termed as tuberculi. The main parenchymatous portion of the parathyroid gland consisting of two different kinds of cells, Chief cells and oxyphil cells. Chief cells are the majority cells in parathyroid glands, but they are comparatively smaller in size compared to the oxyphil cells, with dark nucleus and lightly stained cytoplasm around nucleus. This is a very characteristic feature. They are higher in number chief cells, but smaller in size and lightly stained than the oxyphil cells. These are the cells which are responsible for the production of the hormone, I am not going to name it, which is responsible for the calcium metabolism or release of calcium when required. The second cell, which is an oxyphil cell, which is a larger cell compared to chief cell, a dark nucleus, but very characteristic feature is that they have a strong eosinophilic cytoplasm because of higher content of mitochondria. There is no clear-cut clarity about the function of these cells. They are not responsible for, still not given any properties. Actually, the function of these cells are not that much clear. कि ये कौन सा हार्मोन बनाते हैं, अगर बनाते हैं तो they are basically cells which are present lower in number but have larger size and more strong eosinophilic stained cytoplasm. Now, if you look at the panoramic view of this gland, so this gland on outside is covered by a thin connective tissue capsule which is penetrating inside, and along with the trabeculae there are a lot of adipose tissue in this particular example, and which is part of the stroma. And in between these stromal contents there are the parenchymatous areas where the major cell is appearing as the chief cell, which are smaller in size but higher in number. And then between them, there are smaller areas which are occupied by the cells which are larger in size but more eosinophilic. Now, if you magnify this particular area, and this is how it look like, that there are the adipose tissue between the parenchymatous cells and the capillary network are there, and the parenchymatous cells are chief cells which have a smaller size, prominent stained nucleus, but thin stained cytoplasm. And between them, there are small clusters of cells which are larger in size, have stained nucleus, but more eosinophilic cytoplasm. These are the oxyphil cells. और अगर हम इसी को मैग्नीफाई करें इस पर्टिकुलर एरिया को, so this is how it will look like, that these smaller cells, which are majority, these are chief cells, and between them these larger cells where with a very characteristic dark eosinophilic cytoplasm, these are the oxyphil cells. Now, the last gland which we have to discuss is adrenal gland. As name indicated, it is a gland which is near to the kidney. The proper anatomical position have been discussed in your anatomy class. If we talk about the stromal content, again, it is covered by a capsule which is comparatively thin, and then through the capsule, the branches penetrate inside the gland with which the blood vessels travel inside. The main parenchymatous part of the adrenal gland are divided in two different areas, the cortex and medulla. The cortex are the cells which are synthesizing the steroid hormone, and then the medulla secretes the epinephrine or norepinephrine. If you look at this particular schematic diagram, you will look at that the cortex is actually surrounding the medulla from all the sides. तो जिस साइड से भी अगर आप पीस लेके माइक्रोग्राफ बनाएंगे तो सबसे पहले जो आउटर लेयर नजर आएगी वो हमेशा कॉर्टेक्स की होगी एंड द कॉर्टेक्स इज एक्चुअली सराउंडिंग द सेंट्रल मेडुला फ्रॉम ऑल द साइड्स एंड देन मेडुला इज centrally located part which is responsible for the secretion of epinephrine and norepinephrine. Now, if we look at the histological features, the cortex, which is the outer zone, is further divided in three subzones, which is the outer area. It is divided in three zones: zona glomerulosa, the outermost zone just inside the capsule; zona fasciculatum, the middle one; the zona reticularis, the innermost one just adjacent to the medulla. From each side, तो जब हर साइड से medulla से बाहर सबसे पहले zona reticularis आएगा, फिर fasciculata आएगा और glomerulosa आएगा, और वाइस वर्सा अगर हम कैप्सूल वाली साइड से इन साइड देखना शुरू करेंगे तो सबसे पहले कैप्सूल के बाद zona glomerulosa आएगा, then fasciculata and then reticularis, and then adjacent to the reticulars, the centralmost area will be representing the histological features of medulla, जो हम देखने जा रहे हैं. If we look at the zona glomerulosa, this zone has glomerular-like clusters of cells, and they are responsible for the secretion of aldosterone. These cells have a central nucleus, but a very characteristic feature that they have a lightly stained foamy or the empty look like empty cytoplasm or lightly stained cytoplasm. The second zone is zona fasciculata. These are the middle zone, which is the major area of the cortex. And here we will find the vertical cluster, vertical columns or vertical cords, which are almost 2 to 3 cell wide, that secrete cortisol. These cells again have a central nucleus, again have lipid-filled cytoplasm, which will appear empty or lightly stained. And the innermost area, just adjacent to the medulla, is the zona reticularis. Reticular means networks, irregular networks. So here you will find 1 to 2 cell wide anastomosing rows that secrete testosterone precursors. These cells again have a central nucleus, but very characteristic feature which is quite different from the aforementioned two zones, zona glomerulosa fasciculata, that these cells have a very dark eosinophilic stain cytoplasm, which was not the case in zona glomerulosa and zona fasciculata. Medulla, the cells which are termed present in medulla, they are termed as chromaffin cells and ganglion cells. Chromaffin cells are the cells responsible for the secretion of the epinephrine and non-epinephrine. Chromaffin cells are modified post-ganglionic sympathetic neurons. These chromaffin cells are actually modified neurons, post-ganglionic neurons, which secrete catecholamines. And in between these chromaffin cells, there can be small amount of ganglionic cells, which are again representing the sympathetic ganglions. Now, this is a more panoramic view where we can look at the half of the adrenal gland. The outside area from all the side is the capsule. Then within capsule, this area where we can find the rounded clusters of cells, where the cursor is moving. These rounded clusters are representing the glomerulosa, and then inside the glomerular zone, you can see that there are vertical cord cells, which are comparatively light. Then the adjacent next zone. This is zona fasciculator, and then the innermost zone representing the cortex is zona reticularis, which is appearing more eosinophilic. Look at the dark staining. And then the centralmost stain area is representing the medulla. One of the characteristic feature of medulla is it have large dilated blood vessels, mostly veins. तो सेंट्रल मोस्ट एरिया में मेडुला को मिलेगा या एड्रेनल ग्लैंड को मिलेगा विच इज मेडुला तो उसके सेल्स के दरमियान आपको बड़ी बड़ी ब्लड वेसल्स या डायलेटेड क्रॉस सेक्शन मिलेंगे ब्लड वेसल्स की नाउ दिस इज अगेन a labeled part where the outer eosinophilic collagenous content is capsule. Thus inside the capsule this rounded cluster area is representing glomerulosa. Then the major area is representing vertical cord, slightly stained, foamy cytoplasmic content appearance due to the lipid content. This is fasciculator, and then again this darkly stained area is reticularis, and inside reticularis the cells, chromaffin cells, which are responsible for the segregation of epinephrine and non-epinephrine, they are appearing here, and in between chromaffin cells there are large dilated blood vessels appearing at different areas. One of the difference, the medullary cells are larger in size compared to the cells of the cortex 3 zones. Now this is again a very classic slide where you can easily distinguish the capsule. Within the after capsule, the next area is represented by the digit, no, not digit alphabet, sorry, A, then B, C, till C we have cortex, and in this particular PPT I am not adding, I have not added lots of label diagram. The reason behind that I am not going to share or make any homework sheet for this particular lecture. So you have to take help from the internet and all the unlabeled diagrams which are added in this offline demonstration video and your PPT to look at for the exam point of view किस तरह से पूछे जा सकते हैं just like we have now added actually I have taken it from internet the resource have written there 4 different alphabets to indicate the 4 different areas 3 of them are representing the cortex and one is representing the medulla part और इसके जब हम डी के बाद दोबारा जाएंगे तो बिल्कुल इसी सीक्वेंस में अपोजिट फर्स्ट विल बी सी देन बी देन ए representing that the cortex is surrounding the medulla from all sides. And this is again a non-labeled micrography of the reason. Now just look at the central area which have large dilated blood vessels, larger cells, and on outside of this zone, the two border areas are just mirror images of each other because they have the same cells covering the central area from all sides, which is zona reticularis, and above zona reticularis you can easily distinguish the two cell thick vertical cords of cells representing the zona fasciculator. Here, zona fasciculator, the vertical cords. Now this is a more magnified image where the capsule is present and the 3 zones of the cortex are quite evident. This rounded cluster cell population is representing with a rounded nucleus and a foamy cytoplasm. This is representing zona glomerulosa, and then below that the vertical cords again having central nucleus but a foamy or lightly stained cytoplasmic content representing zona fasciculata, and below that the regularly arranged cords of cells where the nucleus is central, but around nucleus the cytoplasm is now very characteristically eosinophilic stain. So depending upon that, these features, this will be labeled as zona reticularis. This area will be represented as the fasciculata, and then the adjacent area to the capsule where the cells are arranged in rounded clusters are zona glomerulosa. Now this is again 6 different micrograph labeled with 6 alphabets A, B, C, D. EF, representing the three different zones of zona cortex of the adrenal gland, along with the capsule which is made by C. तो आपने इनको भी लेबल करना होगा. With this description, we have finished the histological features. One of the gland which I haven't discussed here in this offline demonstration is pineal gland. So you people have to look at the histological features of the pineal gland and then the micrographic image or microscopic image of the pineal glands. So you can easily distinguish it from the other endocrine glands as well. We haven't discussed about the dual organ which have both exocrine and endocrine function. We have already discussed them in their particular system: pancreas, ovary, testes. So those are the dual organs which have both endocrine and exocrine tissue. So that were not added in the syllabus of this particular lecture. They have been discussed in their respective systems. So here we have just limited this endocrine system with the proper fully endocrine organs only. With this, now the video part is finished. So we will meet on Thursday to review this and the previous homework sheet of the male reproductive system.